All right, so we're taking each one of these elements piece by piece so that you can understand how they relate by themselves. And then, of course, we're going to work with how to put them all together. And we're going to work now with um, the page builder. And there's actually two that we're going to start with. And then later on, I'll show you some advanced page builders. So we're going to start with the current page builder. It's called the Gutenberg Editor. And what I'm going to do in this exercise is just show you um, some simple edits. And then we're going to do a deep dive into the Gutenberg Editor. And we'll learn how to use elements from each of the different sections. The text, media, design, widgets, theme, all the different elements. We'll go in and we'll do a deep dive in each one of those. But right now, I just want to get you started by understanding a little bit about how the Gutenberg editor works. So let's go take a look. So the first thing we're going to do is go to our website and we're going to click exercise files. And then I want you to download the folder that's called um, homepage project. So we want to download that. And then once again, once it's downloaded, we're going to put it into the downloads folder. And then we're going to extract that content. So I'm going to go to downloads. And I'm going to take the homepage project folder and extract the files from it. I use pzip. You can use any zip extractor you want. So I go to pzip and I'm going to choose extractor in a new folder. And there it is. So I have the original zip files and then it makes a new folder and it extracts all the content out of it. I'm going to open up that homepage project, open up that folder, and I'm going to select all this content and we're going to copy it and we're going to go to our website. Whose website was called my website, my new WordPress site. We're going to paste that content in. And so if you look at it, what I've got is a number of photographs that you can work with. And this is from a website that I built. And I've got some icons, logos, and text, links, menu items. And the idea is that we're going to be building a page of content, text for the home page, so you don't have to type everything in yourself. So now let's go back to WordPress and let's go to the home page. So I'm going to go to pages, all pages, and then go to home page. And I'm going to start editing. So the first thing I'm going to do is insert a block of text. So I'm going to go back to that folder and I'm going to double click text for home page. Oh, that didn't work. I think there's something wrong with it. Let's see if we can open this with something else. Notepad, see if that works. No. I think the last time there's something wrong with my computer. Last time I think I opened it in Acrobat. Let's see if it opened in Acrobat. Okay, let's see that. Let me try opening it in, of all things, Illustrator. Now you shouldn't have this problem. You should be able to click on the file and open it directly. Okay. So this is a little bit of a workaround, and you won't have this problem. You should be able to double click on the file and open the page. Okay. And so what I did was I provided you with some text files that you could use so you don't have to. Lots of times what I do is I have the client write up the content and send it to me in some sort of Word document, dot pages or a Word document or RTF, whatever the case may be. And then I copy and paste the text into the appropriate page. And so I have them spell check it, make sure it's written correctly, and The idea is that they are the subject matter experts on their topic, right? If they have a company that does refrigeration, or they have a personal gym, or whatever the case may be, then they're probably going to be able to write the content about that better than I would. I have people that can do copywriting, and I can hire them out as an independent. But nowadays with Chat GPT, it's amazing how well you can write some stuff that might have been rather tedious. And let's see, it should have opened. Let's see if it works. I think it should. Okay, we're gonna cancel this, and let's see the page of content come up, and let's see it load. Let's see if it loads here. Let's try it again. Okay. So, like I said before, there's something amiss on my pay on my website. I mean, on my computer. So you won't have to do this. All right. So here's my text, and I'm going to grab the type tool. You'll be able to just open this, and I'll just take this first paragraph. Actually, let's take this header first. Let's take this header. So I'm going to select this and hit Control C on the keyboard. Then I'm going to go back to my website, and I'm going to click right here and paste that in. Okay. So now let's talk about how this works. And what I'm going to do is just go through the basics of working with text, what the widgets do, what the block editor does, how to go in and out. So I'm going to click here on this little plus, and you'll see that there are things called blocks. And each one of these is an element that you can insert into the page. And once you've inserted them, you can modify and control them. So if I click heading, it's going to put a heading there. I'm going to click and paste that in. Welcome to my website, right? So I can move the block up and down by clicking on the little up down arrow, or I can grab and drag it. I'm going to have the same thing in twice. And so I select an element here, and then I configure it here. And then the option for that element will be available over here. So you have the blocks, you have the element on the page, and you have the configuration over here. So let's just look at this. Let's place some text on the page too. So I'm going to click paragraph, and then I'm going to grab a paragraph of text and copy and paste that in. Okay. So I did something weird there. Let's take the paragraph of text. I'm having to do a few, jump through a few hoops that you won't have to jump through. So I'm going to copy that from here and paste that into my paragraph here. Let me delete that and do it again. And paste. Okay. So let's go through this systematically. First, you have the page title. In this case, what I did was I inserted a header at the top of the page. So when I click on it, you'll see this menu here. The first thing here is to add an image. This one allows me to drag the element. This allows me to move the element up and down. Remember, they're just stacked on top of each other. This is the alignment for the element: align left, align right, align center, align width. All right, so I can change the change the alignment. Here I can apply a duotone filter to it if I want. A little wacky, clear. This is to make a hyperlink, so we'll go in and we'll learn how to create hyperlinks. This is to crop. This is to add text over the image. This is to add a caption, right? So when I click on the element here, it gives me this little menu here. So for paragraph, it's going to, once again, it's showing me that this is a paragraph. I can drag it. I can align it, text, left, right, or center. I can select words and I can make them bold. I can take this text and I can make it italics. I can create hyperlinks, and then there's some additional elements here like footnote, highlight, inline code, inline image, keyboard, etc. And then if I decide I don't want an element, I can click on it, click the three dots, and delete. Okay. And then I can change the order of these once again by just clicking like that or by dragging. Okay. So let's select this element and let's look at what are the options over here under block. So I can change the color of the text, or I can change the color of the background for this cell, for this block. Okay. And then I can actually modify the color for the link. And then I can change the size of the text. Now the text is driven from another location, right? But I can change the size of the text. And then I can modify the dimensions by changing the padding. The padding is the padding inside of the cell. We'll come back to that, right? So each block will have those different elements that you can modify and control, right? And I just click into the block and then the elements become available over here, all right? So that's how I would insert a block of text. Let's insert an image. So we're gonna just insert a block of text, insert an image, and I'm gonna show you how to create a hyperlink. And that'll be enough to get started with the Gutenberg editor, and then we'll go back and do a deep dive on the Gutenberg editor. So you see down here, there's a bunch of different type of elements that we can use. So we'll go through these, and we're gonna spend a lot of time with them. I just wanna get you started with some simple ones. So one is an image would just be one image. A gallery would be a display of a bunch of images, and then you can actually insert audio. You can create what's called a cover, which is a large graphic that's usually at the top of the page. You can link to files. You can have a configuration of a media and text, or you can insert video. I'm just going to click and add an image. So now when I click here, you'll see it says drag and drop an image, upload and choose from library. So if I click upload, I can go somewhere on my hard drive and select an image, right? I can also insert from a URL, but you have to be careful with that because if they move the image on the other page, the location, the image will no longer be found. I can also insert from my media library, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to click there and I'm going to grab one of the images from my media library. So let's upload those files that we just created from here. Let's grab some of these images. And click open. So importing them into the page, well, into the media library, and then I'll choose one to go on the page. Well, I'll choose this one, click select, and I've inserted an image. Now, when I insert an image, I can change the size of it by clicking on those handles. I can make the image fit align left, align right, align center. Okay. I can do the duotone effect to the image. So I think those are kind of hinky. I don't use those. I can also make the image a link. We'll come back to that. I can add text on the image. Alt tag, Lois, Joy, Hoff, HOFMANN, at book signing event. Okay. All right. And so when I select the image, I can choose whether the background is fixed, if the background is repeated, right? If I can choose whether the image is used as a thumbnail, used medium, or used full size. All right. So that's the cool thing about I can type over the image. Right. If I don't like that, I can just click here and delete it. Let's delete that too. Let's delete that too. Let's insert it again. Okay. So that's the things you 90% of the time you're going to be working with either text or an image. Um, and you're going to insert them like the way I just did there. Let's look at creating one more element. Um, one is a hyperlink, and then I want to insert a button, and then we'll stop there with this exercise, and we'll come back and spend more time. So let's say that I want to make a link here. So contact me, let's select that, and let's link it to the contact page. So I'm going to select that text. I'm going to click the hyperlink button. So this is where I create a link. So I can either search or type in a URL. So I'm going to scroll down and I want to make this go to the contact page. So I select that there and then I hit enter. Oops. Oh, it worked. So let's go back to the original page. Click away and you'll see that when I mouse over it, there's a hyperlink there. Let's close the other page. And what I've done is I've created a hyperlink. If I decide to change it, I can scroll back over it and I could delete it. I could scroll back over it. And I could click on the link and unlink it by clicking this button here, right? So that's how I link to um, a page in my own site. Let's say I want to link to Adobe. So what I would do is I would go to Adobe and I would copy the link. And then I would come here and I would select the text like this. And I would click the link button and I would paste the URL in here and hit enter. And I've made a link. So this link is referencing another page within my site. This link is referencing another site altogether. The other thing that you can do that I really like to use in the Gutenberg editor are buttons. Let's click and let's make a button. And so I can put text on the button. Let's say we want them to go to the About Me page. So I'll just write About Me. And then I'm going to select that button and click the link button. And it wants a URL. So let's save it. Now you think that you could just go use the hyperlink thing just like you do, but let's do this. So when you make hyperlinks like this, you have to be careful about creating a link that's referencing the root folder. But let's just do this. Let's save what we have so far and let's exit. And let's go to the About Me page or About Us page. And then we'll copy the link from here. Right click and copy. And then we'll go back to the home page. And we'll select that button, click here, and paste in the URL. And save. So here we created an external link. No, this was internal. We created an external link. And then we created a button. Let's save. And let's preview it in the browser. Okay, so you see we've got some nice elements on the page. Here's the page that takes us to the link that takes us to the contact page. Here's the link that takes us to Adobe. And when you build a link, you have the option of it being overwriting the original page or self-referencing it. And then here's our link to the About Me page. And then here's our block of text. Here's our subheader. We can make that bigger. And here's our image. let's go back and do a few things. Let's take this header and change its size. Why does that look? That looks really weird. Let's save it and see what happens. It shouldn't look that weird. Let's see. Wow, why is that? That's really weird. I've never seen it do that before. Let's take that out and put the header in and type it in ourselves. I think maybe it's going to be copy and paste it. There we go. So it was like a graphic instead of a, and then we'll just move it up and then move it up and move it up. And there we go. So you'll see that we have the ability to change the size of the text. With HTML, they are called headings. H1, H2, H3, each one gets smaller, and then there's the tag for plain text, which is paragraph tag. And generally what you want on your page is at least one um, H1 tag and one H2 tag. And then you probably, generally what you want is about at least 3 paragraphs of text on the page for the page to be crawled through properly. Okay, so what we did here is we just did a little bit of work with the Gutenberg page editor. We learned how to insert text, how to insert a heading, how to conform our paragraph of text, how to create a button, how to insert an image, and how to create some hyperlinks. And that's a good start. Now we'll come back and add more and go into a deep dive on each one of the sections. We'll work with 2 or 3 different elements from each one of the sections. And let's go over and look at the page elements. So you see here that it's telling me the page elements here. And then the block elements will reference whichever element you currently click on, right? And so there is a lot more control over what you can do with WordPress with this new system. So like when I click on this image, I can choose to have the elements of the graphic around it. I can choose to change the borders. I can add a frame, right? And I can choose the size. And so there's a lot more control over how images are used in this than there used to be. It's a lot more powerful. It's a lot easier to understand. So remember, these things are just stacked one on top of the other. Now you can use tools that will take it and divide it into like multiple columns, and we'll look at that later as well. So that's a good start with the traditional, or what's called the Gutenberg editor, which is also called a block editor. Okay, and so the block editor is used for page building, can also be used for working with your widgets, and it's also used with the block editor theme builder, right? So you have the customizer theme builder and you have the block editor theme builder. And I'm going to save this and stop here.